Welcome to another episode of Inside the Sound, where we get an in-depth look inside the local musicians and artists working on upcoming projects. In this episode, we get a closer look inside the Azusa, California natives and Nature Boys' Shaman cult. This three-piece ensemble manages to produce huge and intricate sounds and are on their way towards creating an even bigger wave in today's music scene. Whether you catch them rocking in the desert or local music venue, Shaman Cult is truly a brilliant experience to witness. Make sure to find them on Spotify and subscribe to their YouTube page for their latest music videos and live performances. Without further ado, let's go inside the sound of Shaman Cult.
It's a fucking group effort, man. It is.
Yeah.
It's the biggest group effort you could fucking ever imagine.
Nine.
Sometimes we pull out the boxing gloves and we're like, okay, last one standing.
Yeah.
I play music all the time, like growing up as a little kid. But like to do it, like to choose to do it with my life was when I was in middle school, and they decided not to join band because like it wasn't the cool thing to do, you know. Like I was a soccer player, like that was my shit. Like I was just like, you know, like I was just fucking doing sports, and so I didn't do fucking band. But then I saw him. I went to a concert, 6th grade. In the cafeteria, they pulled everyone in to watch like the symphony that like that's your peers. You're like, okay, like this is gonna be whack, you know, whatever. But like I went there and it sounded pro, dude. It was like pro as fuck. I was like, oh, like that's what I want to do with my life right now. I remember like getting like what is it called? Goosebumps. And like once I felt it, I was like fucking started crying. But it wasn't because I was crying because I was I was crying because I was mad at myself. Because I was like, why did I let my fucking imagination and society fucking convince me that like playing instruments or like being on stage or like doing something that's considered nerdy isn't cool. So then next year I fucking joined like the Top Jazz, man, and shit. Like right away I was just like, fuck that, like I need to do this.
So in elementary school, they were basically trying to recruit people to go to the middle school band. So Mr. Evans was the dude, and he went to fucking Lee School where I was, and it wasn't the full band or anything, but it was him, and he had like a table, and he just set out every single instrument in front, and he was a fucking beast, and he knew how to play all of them. So he picked them all up and just like laid down some like super fun shit that like little kids would be like super into, and I was like, I'm sold. You know, and ever since then, I picked trumpet for whatever reason. I really can't tell you, but I played trumpet forever, and then I played baritone, because in middle school they were like, "Yo, we need a baritone player." Like no one wants to do it, and I was like, "I'll do it." And it was kind of like really similar. Like the fingerings were really like the same as like a trumpet. Right. It was like a really big trumpet basically, and then like I even played it in treble clef because I was already reading treble clef music on trumpet, and then usually you would read bass clef on So, but I was already reading trumpet music, so he was like, "That's fine, I'll like
adjust it for you."
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. So like that was like, you know, that whole thing, the whole band experience was like my introduction, and then I was like, I got really into like rock music, you know, because my mom was really into it. She liked like rock en español, so you know all the classics and shit. And I got it really into that, and I was like, I'm trying to play guitar, and then picked up bass, and then we're here.
The first time that somebody pushed music onto me was my dad's best friend, Bull. He was like the first guy to put a guitar in my hand, and he was always just trying to get us to make music and to learn songs. He was the first guy I ever saw playing guitar, and that's why that's what really He's the one who really showed me music for the first time. I think we know it's hard to find people in life to make music with. A lot of my friends that, tell me that they haven't, that they haven't exactly found people to play with, like to make a band. Because, I have a lot of friends who make music on their own and they don't play with the band. They just do it. They write and record music on their own. And it makes me feel lucky to have a band to play with, to people to play with, and I've known them a lot of my life. And so it's like, why would you stop playing with people who you make music with? Things happen and people go in different directions with their life. But I think that if you're with a group of people who all want to make music, you don't stop. And it was just natural. We just kept going. We never second thought it. We never gave it a second thought.
Yeah, I didn't think I started playing drums with Shaman. I was writing songs on drums for Shaman Code, from the beginning, Luis and Andy both saw us a band, when it was just two-piece, So, I was playing the drums, from the beginning. So it never felt like it wasn't natural. I was just I've been doing, that's how I thought about it. I just went back to it, it was I went back to it. And then I had to learn how to sing because I had never sang and done the drums, So this fool and I would just go running and build up my conditioning just to be able to sing and play drums.
Not another love song. We all go fucking crazy.
Pretty much the reason he started drumming was because the person we had drumming just didn't show up. And so it was if anything, the most core thing you need is percussion instruments. We needed drums. And so it was hard to jam without drums. And so naturally it was if there was no drummer there, Frank was the person who was best at drumming.
When we started practicing with Frank on drums, we had a show booked. And I remember this was the whole motivation for it, because we were dude, we have a show next week. It's gonna happen. And everything was the other, yeah, it's gonna happen. And then we basically decided we're going to play the show. There's no way we're not gonna play the show, basically. And that's what had happened. And then he just kind of I personally was nervous. I can't speak for them, but I was fuck. I was nervous, bro.
Fuck, because it was all the homies.
No, yeah, but still, it was something so new, and it was are we gonna be able to pull this off? And then for some reason, from my memory, the night just went fine. Nice. Yeah. And I went home this could happen. This is it. This is it.
Dude, with drums and electronic shit, it's even sicker because you get to assign whatever you want to whatever you want. And I just bought some triggers that connect to your bass drum. So every time you hit your bass drum, it has this little sensor that reads your bass drum head. I have one that reads my the fucking rim and the snare. And I have a whole sampler right here. It's imagine where your high tom is, that's where I have all my samples, and it's pretty sick. I don't know. I know cool. These guys like it because they would tell me to shut the fuck up if it if it sounded like ass, So it's really cool.
I definitely started out playing organ a lot. It was 100% organ because I was in ska bands before with you, Chris, and that was the sound, organs. And so even when I joined their band, it was rock and roll, blues rock, The Doors. That was a lot of our influence, Led Zeppelin. So it was a lot of organ. And then I started to incorporate piano naturally. And then I bought a really old synth. It was just I got caught up in the analog craze, I wanted to have analog synthesizers, old shit. I thought that was the part of the sound, But then technology's really been taking a step up, and there's a lot of synthesizers that have come out in the last decade that are insane, that I love. And I probably wouldn't have bought probably half of the synths that I bought if I had waited, if I was barely getting into this stuff now.
And the limitations definitely have inspired creativity, at least in my part, because before I had one job kind of, and now it's I have like this huge pedal board that I really rely on, because I have to have like all these different sounds, and like if he's not doing something, I have to fill in the space, and if you know, and vice versa, you know, if I'm not doing it, he has to fill in the space.
Programs, ability that's established. I was really acting like it's about to be some magic. Come on, give me the action. We'll go down with the system, down with the structure. I know that everybody's crazy.
I think it comes from like necessity. You just don't have the resources like everyone else has, so you figure out like, okay, well then how do you make that without like paying someone? It's like how I've seen it, like, because we have the energy, we have a brain, like we could do some shit, you know, like it's not too hard to figure some stuff out. Half of the battle is just staying persistent.
The reason we were doing all the printing and hustling our merchandise and playing shows was because that's what paid for the recordings. You know, that's the only reason we were able to get into those studios and record the songs that we did, was because we played like, I don't know how many shows in a year, just every place. You know, it was just like we didn't want to say no. You know, if there was an opportunity, we wanted to take it, and it was great because then we made some money, we saved up, and we spent it to make more music. And I think that's what it's about for us, is just, you know, we're trying to just make money to make music.
For the most part, we have been, you know, working with producers, I guess, even for like our very early stuff. We kind of worked with a friend, you know, he just kind of did it for us. But I think now we're trying to do the whole, you know, do it yourself thing, because we have like the knowledge, we know how to do it, and we've been at it for a while, so it seems like we can do it. So I think now, you know, instead of really thinking about who we want to work with, we're thinking about what gear we want to buy. So it's kind of like a different approach, definitely. You know, we are looking to just build our own space and just take care of everything ourselves, because like usually when we go into a studio, we record like demos, and a lot of the times we'll kind of listen back to it, and you know, having unlimited time working on demos, like, you know, we'll work on it for hours and hours. Sometimes like little things are almost even better, you know, from our demos, than as opposed to when we actually go work in a space and we're limited on time and we could only get a certain amount of things done. So I think from now on, I think we're just trying to take it upon ourselves to, you know, really do everything. You know, obviously we can play everything and we have most of the gear we need. And at this point, it's like we just need to get a space. And once we're in there, I think that's going to be the way. We're just going to take care of everything ourselves. And hopefully from now on, you know, future releases, it'll be, you know, recorded and mixed by us.
Right. We as like Shaman cult, like we throw events, you know, like, and that's something we've learned by going to events. Like that's something that I was like, oh fuck, like I never thought I could do that. Like, oh shit. And now you go to like your fucking friend's music festival and you're just like, whoa, like what the fuck, like we could do that, like let's throw a show at least, you know. And so we'll like do like little productions, and like now we're like out in fucking J Tree fucking recording a little live set, you know. So it's like those experiences influence something and almost tell you like, hey, like you can do this too. And I feel like Shaman cult has a fucking dope ass like DIY vibe. Like we'd like to do things ourselves as well, like, and we make it happen. I don't know, it's pretty cool. We make it happen like every time. Like we set our mind to something, we make it happen. And that's like half of the battle. It's like, what do we want to do? Because once we say what we want to do, we make it happen. Like it's just basically like the way it works.
No, it's always different. Every single song is different. Sometimes Frank will come with like a almost fully written song, and we'll just have to learn the parts. And sometimes one of us will just come with like a chord progression, or even just a bass line. Or we're at practice and somebody plays something cool and somebody hears it and is like, play more of that. You know, it's every single song is
Those
different.
are my favorite songs, by the way.
Yeah, those are shit.
Should we just do how we already ended?
Yeah.
Just after you finish your singing, you'll just cut out and then it'll just be me and him.
That's how it is.
Hey, that's how it is.
Oh, pues está bien.
Like 99.9% of my shit, like it's probably through voice memos. 99.9. It's just all voice memos, and they know because I show them the voice memo. Like it's usually, check this out. Look at okay, I'll show them the part, and then like they kind of get it, and then I'll be like, no wait, like it will take that extra bit of like busting out my voice memo and like playing it for them. And they're like, oh, okay, like I see, like oh right, like
Yeah.
that's like usually like a method that I use that helps me convey like, because yeah, I mean, if you're playing it in your room, you're gonna like just hit record, and that's like the easiest way. I feel like if I didn't have a recording device, I'd probably be really good at like writing music, like as in like with like a pen and paper. But I don't need to learn that shit right now.
It was hard for us at first, but now it's easy. You know, now it's definitely just we're really good at explaining it, and it's more it comes down to as far as trying to talk to each other about a song. It's more explaining, but I guess once the song's coming together, we all have that. Our image unifies, you know, and we could all see where it's going and where we want it to go and what our end game is for it and what we want it to be.
From what we've been playing, you know, when we first started to what we're doing now, I'm really excited about the new stuff because it's a total, complete change of sound and everything. And I don't know. I guess I can't really tell you where it's going, but I like it.
I think a lot of it is just leaning towards a synthesis, you know, just in general, like synthesis in general, like even vocals. I feel like we're probably gonna have AI vocals soon. Like there's probably gonna be an AI musician that you fucking love, you know, like not gorillas, because gorillas is still a human, you know. But I'm saying like full. I mean, there is. I know 100% there is. But I'm saying like
I heard they're doing that now.
Yeah, but I'm saying like one that like is like as important to you as like your favorite band, you know, like fucking The Strokes. I mean, like that's gonna be for you, like, you know, like I feel like that would be the equivalent of like.
I heard
you know
some
what I'm saying?
shit about how like AI, they did like a fucking. They basically gave it a bunch of like Amy Winehouse songs or something like that.
I've listened to that shit.
Dude, it sounds like it's a really good song, dude. It's a really good song.
But they have Bowie ones where they like give like an AI like the entire fucking catalog of Bowie.
And it just chops it up and makes a song.
Yeah, and you're just like,
wow.
Oh, that's dope. Like that sounds like
really
new
good.
Bowie.
I think music's really reached an eclectic point, you know, and it has. I mean, I think I say that it has recently, but then I listen to stuff decades ago that I'm like, wow, this is such a mashup of so many genres. So it's always been that way. Fucking Prince, man, back in the 80s was already on that, you know, very multi-genre. And I've always believed that there's really nothing new, you know. There's nothing new. Even AI, all the technology, it's not new. It's just the old in a different way. And that's all music's ever been. And I love the Talking Heads, and I really love David Byrne, and I started reading his book. It's called How Music Works, I think. And he said something in the book that I thought was really profound. He said, creativity hasn't gotten any worse or any better. The circumstances have just changed. The environment which music has been created has changed. And I feel that a lot. And I think that it always depends on our environment, on our situation. If you listen to the songs that have come out in the past year, coronavirus has changed a lot of the sound, you know, and a lot of the music. I think I've heard a lot of songs that were influenced by that, and that you could tell that people are doing it either in their bedroom or remotely between each other. You could hear that, you know, and I think that whatever environmental changes that occur in the future will also change the way that music sounds.
Think about this, like
That
when
would be
we're
crazy.
fucking with synthesizers and you flick the random switch on, that's fire.
Yeah.
That fucking random switch is fire, dude.
Yeah, random comes through for sure.
Is
You don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen.
I think it's probably the first time I ever saw UMO. It wasn't like visually stimulating too much, but like this dude was like, "Yo, let's go watch this band," and I was like, at first I was like, "I'm not gonna go watch a fucking band," you know what I mean? Like, and for whatever reason, I decided like I'm gonna go, and it was really cool because it was like at the Natural History Museum, and it was like it was in the museum, so like you bought a ticket to go in the museum, and then there was a show like in the back, and then so I was like, yeah, that sounds fucking cool. Like, you know, like, okay, it's at the museum. Like, it's that. I thought we were just going to go to like some random ass venue, whatever. So we ended up going there. Point is, it was actually a fun story, whatever happened previous to that. I'm not going to get into all that shit. But point is, we went in there. I had no idea who UMO was. And after watching that show, I was like stunned, dude. Like, it became my favorite band. Till this day, like, I super big inspiration on like the way I play and like the music I listen to. Even like they're an amazing band. We actually got to record with Riley, who at the time was playing drums for UMO. So it was like, you know, like it was like a huge deal for us, you know. Like we went, we saw them. That show was just amazing. It was really cool, and it definitely inspired us. It inspired us enough to fucking have this guy chase down Riley and have him like, you know, record for us. And if you listen to, you know, Soul, Simple Times, Lost Connection, all those songs were all recorded by Riley Gear. So that day was definitely like life changing, almost inspiring. Changed the way I played music, changed the way I saw things. You know, we recorded an album with someone who, you know, we personally saw there. So that was a great day.
Oh, that's a great question, dude. So one time my sister and we got tickets to go to like a wannabe Coachella, and it was through like this like app that she like knew about that would like give you free tickets to fucking events all the time. And so it was like a whole like 2-day festival out in Coachella Valley, but it wasn't Coachella. And what tripped me out about it is like how lucrative fucking like companies can be, like with like this like free event to kind of like tap into like the soul of music, you know? Because like, for example, like we went to go see K Tronada, fucking Mark Ronson, fucking like the fucking, you know, fucking Q-Tip, like the sick ass like artists out there. And in the background, you see fucking Chase Bank, and they have just like mountains, and like these like as their logo, like they're like it's almost like a shroom trip where you're seeing it like pulse, but they're doing it on purpose because I was sober, you know, like with my sister, you know, I'm just chilling, and I'm just like, oh, these people are trying to tap into like this like ambiance that like is that music's creating that like we find as like, you know, like identifying. To sell you something. Yeah. And I mean that kind of ties into this question because I was just like, that's one like time where I left a musical experience like kind of like, oh fuck, you got to be careful. Yeah. I think it has to do with like when you for example, when you go over to like someone's house for dinner and like you bring a plate and like you're like a part of the event, and that's what it feels like when you're like at a beautiful music experience that is actually like grassroots, like, and you're just out there like having fun. Like that's different than, I mean, I've gone to music festivals like, for example, Outside Lands, and you're just migrating to fucking San Francisco to watch Radiohead because that's the only place you'll fucking probably ever get to see Radiohead. So like that's different than like the little DIY fucking desert shows that fucking are like 2,000 people tops, 500 people tops, yeah. And you're a part of it. You know, like that's so much, like there's so much invested in that moment. That's beautiful.
Like whether you're a spectator or you're the one playing the music, at some point it's like the room is the room and everybody's in it, and everybody, because if the crowd wasn't there, what the fuck would the people on stage be doing, you know? And the more, not the more people, but the more into it that people are, you know, because you could play at a bar and some people are just having their drinks and they don't really care to hear you. They're just trying to have their drinks. But sometimes you play at a bar and everybody's just like, you know, you could feel that the room is involved, and that's an amazing feeling. Whether you're watching or you're playing, it's cool to be a part of that. You know, it feels crazy. It feels kind of it's almost unexplainable.
You're tapping into something.
Yeah, and it's so memorable too, because like you said, that you brought up that Tame Impala concert that we went to probably like 6 or 7 years ago, and it's like we wouldn't remember a specific hike per se, or like a lunch date or something like that, but you know, an event like that you'll probably remember for most of your life.
I think it just comes from like us escaping into nature to like take a break from band practice, and to like you know, like when we were younger, like our parents weren't okay with us like chiefing it like at their own house, you know, so we would just have to like leave and escape into nature to like just take a break from music. Like some people have a basketball court that they go out and shoot and like after practice, but like for us we would just go into nature, and it was something that we all kind of already did, and it was always like a collective type of like what would you say, like a collective like reset,
Yeah.
you know.
We're fortunate enough to live in Azusa, which
Yeah.
is, you know, we're like down the street from the canyons. We're down the street from, you know, we can go to South Hills and be like in a little foresty area, and it's a great way of just, you know, getting away for a bit. So yeah.
I know for sure a couple songs that Frank's wrote, and he's given them names. He has a song called Mountaintops that we did. That was we went hiking up in Crystal Lake, and I remember he was showing me the guitar part at Crystal Lake, you know, that same weekend, and then we went home to practice and we wrote the song. And then another time we went up to the Sequoias, and then he came back with another song and called Sequoia, and it was the same deal. We came back and he had a tune, and so I think it just happens. You know, you get inspired. For me, I like to hear, like, you know, there's music out here. You pay attention to all the birds, and I've always liked that. So I always like to think of my synthesizer, like oscillator noises, like, you know, you hear that little bird. There you go. Like, you know, that's like, you kind of recreate that.
Our music has been able to like entertain ourselves and keep this whole like, you know, we're living a life, like we're spending time doing this, like we're not like we're using our lifetime to do this. And so just like, you know, being persistent with it is almost like a lesson that like everyone could learn, because you could just, you know, learn to do something you love if you like stick with it.
We've been doing what we've been doing for some years now, and we've recently achieved I feel a new level of doing that thing, you know, with because we've been in a few studios, and we've recorded like 8 or so songs in some studios, and now our next recordings are going to be a whole nother thing. And I think it's just, persistence, never stopping what you're doing, regardless of how many people tune in to check it out, you know, or not. It's like, we're doing this because it's what we do, you know, it's what we love to do, and what I'm always going to do, regardless of if people love it or not. But of course, we make it with the intention that we love it, so other people are probably going to love it. But regardless of whether or not that happens, it's still going to happen because we have songs that we want to write.
Joey, check out Beretta Visuals on Instagram. You guys will not regret it. Brandon, he's helped us a lot. Played bass for us sometimes and recorded some stuff.
Dude, George, honestly, like low-key underdog, dude. Like, he saved Shaman Cult from like not even fucking like playing ever, you know. Like, he's really like, he provided the garage that like let us practice that fucking.
George played a lot of bass
Yeah,
too.
George
when I
played
fucking did
bass.
show up. Yeah,
George played bass for some shows.
Yeah, fuck.
he introduced us to Andy, his brother, that fucking ended up fucking being in the band. It's like so weird. Like, it's always been such a like, it's always been so close to being like over, and it's not over. It's like so sick. Like, it's like really weird.
Anybody who's ever listened to our music and enjoyed it, or even if you just listened to it and didn't like it too, that's cool. And anybody who I've ever made music with, also, you know, you're definitely, it's all a part of the journey as far as learning and growing. And so nobody specifically, but I think everybody, and especially all my homies, yeah, who have helped me carry one of my synths or one of my amps or anything. Yeah, thank you so much, because that really comes through. Because we have like almost like a fucking theater-sized production between a 3-piece band, and it's tough to go to clubs and bars, and when you have like a 30 to 45 or a minute set, and to set it up and execute that, it's impossible to do it between 3 people. So anybody who's ever helped us out, thank you so much. Yeah, for sure.
The homie Bobes.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
homie
Bubs.
Simon.
Yeah, they've
Peta, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, Peter, dude. We've gone through it.
that's it. Peace out.
Later.